What's up, guys? This is Brandon Berge and just wanted to make a quick video. I get you guys very often asking about builds. Oh, before I continue, I'm so sorry I haven't been streaming and posting lately. I've been very busy IRL. Was just poking around an old save, and I have what I think is a pretty strong late game lineup. Now, it is day 103, but I've had most of these guys for like 30-40 game days. So I just wanted to share with you, this is how I think about making a late game lineup, or like this is the Gladiator origin. We cannot have any reserves. So one of the challenges with a 12-man origin, which is Gladiators or Lone Wolf, is how do you build a team composition that can handle pretty much everything in the game? Or in other words, what is the quote-unquote most balanced team comp? And I'd like to share with you guys what I think the answer to that question is. So check this out. So first, you want to have two guys that fill kind of a tank role. My main tank is this guy. This guy is actually incredible. He doesn't need to be this good. What's most important for your main tank is that the main tank has pretty good melee defense, but most importantly, a lot of fatigue. He wants, because he's going to be battle forged. This guy happens to be insane, but they don't need to be this insane. This is like your 1 in 1,000 thief. You're not going to find this guy. And the idea is that this guy is going to be a lone wolf tank. So let's check out the perks. And by the way, if you hold the Windows key and then hit Shift S, you can like drag a little box and take a screenshot of these perks. This is, in my opinion, the strongest build for the Battle Forged Monolith tank, which is what this guy is. This guy's job is when the fight starts, he is going to run forward to activate Lone Wolf, which gives him a massive boost to melee defense and resolve. And then his job is to just tie up 3 or 4 dangerous enemies for like 10 or 15 turns. This is this guy's build. Colossus is pretty self-explanatory. Bags and belts is important because versus certain enemy types like orcs or barbarian chosen or reavers, they will try to break your shield. And so you need to actually have, like, in a big orc or chosen fight, he will actually go through all of these shields. And the nice thing as well about bags and belts is that shields in the pocket do not actually cost fatigue. Look at this, 52. Give him another heavy ass shield in the pocket, still 52. So bags and belts is actually really good also for fatigue management. So I suggest to have one of these tanks. They can be thieves. Farmers are actually really good because farmers tend to have high fatigue. Messengers, maybe peddlers as well. For higher end backgrounds, they can also be like hedge knights. Hedge knights can be good main tanks. And I also like to run an off tank. This guy is more of kind of an early mid game tank because he's nimble. And I went ahead and I gave him taunt, which is a nice little skill there for drawing aggro. This guy has decent melee skill, so I'm running him with a hammer right now. He can strip armor. This guy's job is to play with the formation on the southern flank, to just kind of hold the southern flank. Now, the rest of my frontliners are a mixture of defense, battle forged fatigue neutral bros, and nimble damage bros. So let me show you what those look like. Here is a flail fatigue neutral guy. Now, the core perks for the fatigue neutral build are Colossus, Pathfinder, Gifted, Brow, Fortified Mind, Underdog, and Battle Forged. Those are the core perks. There are also Weapon Mastery. The idea with this build is that they don't actually have a big fatigue pool. The combination of Pathfinder and Weapon Mastery means that they can pretty much always step one tile and swing their weapon. These guys' job is to like step forward into a pressure position and rely on their high melee defense and their Fortified Mind and Brow and all their defensive perks to take a lot of contact. This guy is an assassin. He had really high initiative when I hired him, so I went ahead and gave him dodge. Normally you're not giving dodge to your Battleforged bros, but certain backgrounds like assassins or oath takers can have like really high initiative to the point where even when they're completely stammed out, this guy is still getting like 5 or 6 melee defense from dodge. So he's chilling at like 55 melee defense. An incredible defense bro. And I put him here on purpose because my lone wolf tank is going to step forward 3 tiles. So this guy becomes kind of the de facto like hold the left flank guy, which with 55 melee defense after dodge, he's absolutely capable of doing. And the reason I made him a flail newt is because his melee skill was kind of low, like 83 is kind of low. So swinging a flail, at least he's going to be ignoring the shield defense bonus that a lot of enemies have. I'll show you a couple other fatigue neutrals. We'll talk about the differences. This is the belly dancer. I just made him a generic axe newt. For his flex perks, I gave him fearsome. Fearsome is especially good with axes because if you look at Split Man hits both the head and the body. So he is sometimes getting 2 morale checks per hit, which makes fearsome extra valuable. Let's take this out of his pocket. Yeah, you ideally want to have 22 or 23 fatigue so that if this guy gets dazed by like a mace or a flash pot, he's still functional, right? This guy is basically the same guy, but he's wielding a hammer instead of an axe. This is a cool variant of the fatigue neutral. If you have a guy who's got like naturally high range defense, you can give him anticipation. And what that allows me to do is I put him in the center of my formation because the archers will always shoot at guys that are surrounded by the most other guys, right? This guy has the most other guys, and they do this because if they miss a shot, there's a chance for the arrow to scatter onto any adjacent bros. And so that is actually the AI's primary consideration when picking which target to shoot with their ranged attacks. How do they maximize their scatter value? So knowing this, you can build like 1 or 2 anticipation newts, and if you place them in the center of the formation, this guy basically soaks up most of the ranged attacks that we encounter out in the world. So having 1 or 2 tactical anticipation newts can save a lot of damage from the rest of your team. This guy is a mace newt. For my non-axe newts, I do like to give them 9 lives with one of their flex perks. This guy also, I gave him crippling strikes because his job is to like strip armor and set up our cleaver bro, which I'll get into in a second. So I was just trying out crippling strikes. I don't generally think crippling strikes is that good, but he's standing next to a cleaver bro that has executioner. So these guys are like best buds. So I don't think crippling strikes is good on its own, but I'm using it kind of as like a setup tool. Here is a generic mace newt. His job is to set up the Catal bro for the daze attack or for the death blow. But yeah, for his flex perk, I gave him 9 lives. So you'll notice that for the fatigue neutrals, the flex perks can be, it can be 9 lives. It can be. I also gave this guy dodge because this is the Viper. So I put some points in initiative. He's got ridiculous melee defense, just like the other guy. So the flex perks can be 1 of 9 lives. Dodge. It can be fearsome. You can also go quick hands on your fatigue neutral guys. I tend not to do that. Once you get good at positioning, you don't really need to give them quick hands. And the upside of not giving them quick hands is they don't need to have as much fatigue. Like imagine if I gave this guy a pole mace in the pocket, right? That's another 6 fatigue that deducts from this guy. And that might not seem like a big deal, but like some of my guys, I'm running them pretty low fatigue. Like this guy couldn't have a pole mace in the pocket. He's now like almost non-functional. Does that make sense? Okay, so we talked about shield bros, we talked about fatigue neutrals. Now let's talk about the nimble damage bros. This is what I call the DQH or dodge quick hands build. Let me show it off. This is kind of like a build that is effective immediately, Like if you find this was a Daystailer with triple star melee skill, 55 triple star, right? You'll find those bros. If you hire enough lowborn, you will find these guys. So what do you do with a guy like this? Like clearly he's not as good as the fatigue neutral guy, right? The fatigue neutral is a premium build for a premium bro, and this guy's just not quite at that level. So what do you do with this guy? Well, the answer is you give him some early game perks. Like this guy is taking 9 lives, dodge, gifted in the early game, which helps him be immediately effective. But then, because he's nimble, he actually has like a pretty chunky fatigue pool to play with. So I will go ahead and give this guy Berserk, Killing Frenzy, Quick Hands. I also gave this guy Backstabber just to make sure, because not that 90 is low, but I want to make sure he hits because he's wielding this badass fucking famed axe I found. But yeah, so him being nimble makes Berserk Killing Frenzy actually work. Like Berserk Killing Frenzy generally does not work that well on forged bros just because they don't have that big a fatigue pool. So anyway, the battle breaks out. This guy's going to run forward. Our fatigue neutral bro is going to step forward into a pressure position, and then this guy's job is to do damage from the back line using reach weapons, stepping in if there's an opportunity, and then relying on Berserk. So I will deliberately use my fatigue neutral guys to weaken enemies to set up the Berserk proc. I did not give this guy recover. So he's going to proc Berserk a few times, and then he's basically going to stam out, and he's going to swing once per turn, and that's fine. That's all I need from this guy, is just a big burst of damage right at the beginning of the fight. This is my Lion. He's fantastic, as you've noticed. I made him a cleaver bro. And typical cleaver bro perks, I'm kind of holding his last perk because I'm kind of wanting to make him nimble forged. I think he's got enough of a fatigue pool for that. So if I find some like really lightweight forged chest armor, we'll plop it on him and I'll give him battle forged. But with a guy like Lion, running him as nimble and swinging a 4 AP weapon like a cleaver, I do think it makes sense to go Berserk Killing Frenzy with recover. Because what he can do is he can attack. When this guy stams out and only has 1 swing left, you can set it up so that that swing kills something, and then he can essentially Berserk into recover on the same turn, which is incredibly, it's a very good use of action points. I also gave him Executioner just for even more damage, and I figured I would try out this kind of Crippling Strikes Executioner setup buddy system that we've got rocking and rolling there. And then this guy is a typical Catal duelist with all the damage perks. This was a very high quality sellsword that I found. And so, like the core perks on the Catal build, it's Colossus, Pathfinder, Dodge, Relentless, Knife Mastery, Nimble, Duelist, Fearsome. That gives you 2 flex perks. Now, if the guy has low melee defense, you can give him 9 lives. If he has low melee attack, you can give him Backstabber. Now, this guy has both awesome melee skill and pretty good melee defense, so I decided that his flex perks would be Execution or Headhunter. Just go for absolute max damage on this guy. He requires a flail, a mace newt for setup. So I've got these guys kind of paired next to each other. This is my banner. This banner is like abnormally good melee, insane melee with this guy. So I decided to make him. I decided to kind of gear him more towards combat. He had good initiative, so I gave him dodge. He's of course got all the banner perks, and I gave him recover because I think he's going to be swinging his weapon a lot. So I have 3 perks left with this guy. I'm not exactly sure what that's going to be. One of them is going to be Pathfinder, and then maybe a Weapon Mastery and Rotate or something. I'm not really sure. This is kind of an odd build because this guy was like like you don't normally find banners with that high a melee skill. I'm still kind of working out exactly how this guy is gonna do what he does, so I'm not 100% on that yet. This guy is a berserk thrower. I don't normally build berserk throwers. I normally build them with like fearsome and gifted, but he was a hunter with double fatigue stars, so I decided to go for, you know, berserk, killing frenzy, recover. This guy's job is to just do a crap load of damage with throwing weapons, and he succeeds marvelously. You want your backline throwers to have okay melee skill, because if something runs up on this guy, he's gonna get out a sword and he's just gonna start smacking it. And with 82 melee skill and the plus 10 from the sword, he's actually got a pretty good chance of hitting stuff. So that's this guy. This guy, I found the Kingsguard cripple. I'm gonna make him a mace duelist, a battle forged mace duelist. So I kind of gave him brawny in anticipation of that. His other perks, it's going to be underdog, berserk, duelist, killing frenzy. He's going to be basically the only pure battle forged berserk bro on the team. And the reason I'm doing that specifically is I found this ridiculously excellent mace. But in a normal composition, you would run two backline hybrid throwers. If I were to keep playing this run, what I would probably do is fire this guy, move this guy up to the front line, and then replace this guy with another hunter. So I've got my two backline hybrids. But anyway, I hope that helps. Maybe what I do is like go find a fight just to kind of show off how these tactics actually work in the real world. Let's see if we can find a camp real quick. Goblins. Ugh, I fucking hate goblins. Okay, undead. Perfect. Am I happy with my loadout? Yeah, I think so. Alright. Alright, let me show you guys how this actually... Okay, well my game is bugging out. One sec, bros. If that ever happens to you, by the way, you need to instantly Alt F4 your game, because it's like a memory leak and it can ruin your save. Alright, let's get this on. Alright, so what we have is a big-ass undead fight. Which, with what looks like 6 Geists. Interesting. I'm going to pass turn on most of these guys. I'm going to step forward my tanks like that. Oh, and there's a Necromancer. Okay, good to know. Okay, so here's where we can start to, like, have these guys play their roles, right? I step forward the mace newt guy, or the axe newt. And the flail newt can also step forward. I'm going to like hit the shield wall button and just shove this guy into that surround position. So notice that the guys that are like in the front are only my fatigue neutral guys or shield guys. The other guys are kind of like chilling. And this is the nice thing about the DQH build, is he doesn't mind being on the back line because I've got that quick hands option. Now he's going to swing 3 times, but this guy has like amazing melee defense. perfect. We can set up the Catal, bro. And that's why these guys play next to each other. Or we'll just kill it. Boom, there's the Berserk proc, and he still has a pretty chunky fatigue pool to play with. So even if you only get like 2 or 3 good Berserks off of it right at the beginning of the fight, that's often enough to kind of set the tone. So I also deliberately used my hammer guy to set up the Berserk from the Cleaver Bro. I think it's safe to set this guy in. They don't have weapons. But that's how you got to play your Catal, guys, is like use the wait command and be very kind of judicious about how you use those guys. So the cool thing about Berserk is it rewards you for managing turn order. Like you can use some of your guys to set up Berserk on some of your other guys by using the wait command intelligently. So I think ironically, and I say ironically because a lot of intermediate players take the Berserk perk way too often, right? They take it on like everybody. When ironically, I think that proper use of Berserk requires like an advanced understanding of turn order. Okay, I think I'm gonna make a gambit for the Geist with his 112 melee attack. Okay, the fight is mostly won, so now I'm going to be a little more kind of cavalier about my... Oh, I have a Berserk option here, watch this. So that's how you can kind of use Berserk, is you can sort of like plan out your action sequences to maximize the use of Berserk. Which, you know, I like it because it gives my brain something to do in these boring-ass undead fights. Also, the fatigue neutral bros, I typically am leveling Resolve a lot. So, they're generally pretty okay to step up to a Geist. They're not very likely to fail their Resolve checks. And for undead fights, like, you don't need to, like, snipe the Necromancer with an archer or whatever. Just kill the zombies, and once enough zombies have been killed, you just peel off a few of your guys and go kill the Necromancer. That's all it has to be. Yeah, unfortunately my Catal bro doesn't have good resolve, so when he gets yelled at, he gets a little scared. Okay, and then... Okay, buddy. Alrighty. Oh, that's a little awkward. Oh, come on. Missing a 95. How dare you. There you go. If you hit the Necromancer, it disables the Possess. Here's another Berserk opportunity. Cool. So hopefully that was helpful. I know this was not the toughest fight, but I was just trying to demo how do these builds actually interact in a real fight. And I hope that this, at least to some extent, demonstrated that. Wow, nice loot, bro. Anyway, so this was an attempt to make a video explaining kind of a late game team composition, explaining how the builds work together, and then hopefully demonstrating that to you guys. As always, open to any questions you might have. I will respond to y'all's comments. So thanks for watching. Catch you guys later.